to grab hold of the youth, man. Okay, let's help to lift them up. Young people, if you've never been to prison, if you've never been to jail, don't go. If you been, please don't go back, man. All right. Hey, listen, man. Y'all know I am a real preacher, man. Today we're gonna talk about God, man. We're gonna talk about the church. It's some things, man. Like, I really have been like in a really hard place for about a year. I've been in a hard place with the church because um I just feel like, man, the church need to teach more. Bottom line, need to go deeper and not be afraid to um push that traditional ceiling from things that we've been taught that need to be corrected. And so I made this little circle graph, man, and there's obviously some more topics here, man, but I just tried to make it kind of where people can comprehend. We finna go through some stuff real quick, man. Um, I tried to make this where people can comprehend, man, that when we talking about the word of God, when we talking about the scriptures, the church, there are certain topics that we always talk about that we know Jesus. We know Jesus is in there, right? Yeshua, Jesus, Yeshua. Starting right there, right? The church, I mean, we act like it's a bad thing or it's kind of taboo. If we trying to teach and know everything that we supposed to know about our Savior, we should hear Yeshua more than we do. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like we're afraid to teach it, right? Because we do know that he wasn't called Jesus when he walked the earth. We understand, and I'll go through some teachings about that, man, on another day or something. You know what I'm saying? But that's Jesus, man. That's Jesus. Hey, man, I love the name of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Yahshua Mashiach, man. Okay? But these are topics that we talk about all the time. We talk about Jesus. We talk about salvation all the time. We talk about sin. You know, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery, you know, sexual immorality, all those different things. We talk about those things all the time. We talk about heaven. We talk about, the streets paved with gold and, um, the metaphors and stuff that's related to heaven. We talk about that stuff. We talk about hell. But then when it comes over here to these things, kind of on this side of the graph, right? Then we get to looking kind, you know what I'm saying? It's so much that we don't teach that we don't really talk about, right? Because when we get to the holy days, right? I'm saying this for a reason, right? When we get to the holy days, then we go back to the scripture that says, "Thou shalt not esteem one day above another." You know what I'm saying? And it's as if we act like it just simply do not exist. So we don't talk about it. We don't teach it in the church traditionally. We just don't. But then we got holidays. We got holidays, and I ain't even really talking about that today. I'm gonna come back and talk about it. I'm not gonna really go into that today. Um, but we talk about the holidays, right? Holidays that ain't got nothing to do with the scriptures, with God in a positive way. Don't have nothing to do with him. But these same holidays, things that God told us to stay away from. But we ain't talking about that today. I'm just sharing things that we don't typically talk about and teach. Then let's talk about the Jews. We don't really talk about the Jews. We don't really talk about the Jews. For real, for real. You know what I'm saying? We totally stay away from certain scriptures um as it relates to the Jews. And we as the church, we act like we're afraid to teach who the Jews really are. Who are the real Israelites? We act like we're afraid to teach it. That's what I'm about to talk about today. Okay? And then the church history. History. Church history is why all of these other things that I just mentioned, Yahshua, the Jews, holidays, and stuff like that, the church history and all the crazy stuff that went on with the church history is the reason why the church is in this position today. I just use that phrase, in this position today, because we as a church people, and I don't mean no offense when I say this, because I promise you, I say this with an outpouring of love. And so I'm calling on the white church, the black church. Everybody needs to go back and study the history of the church, not according to what we've been taught, not what you've been taught in seminary, because seminary not going to teach you this stuff. This is stuff you got to go and dig and find answers to, right? But everybody that call themselves a believer, everybody that, you know what I'm saying, that's involved with the church, uh, everybody that love God should go back and study all this stuff, man, because it's stuff there. So today we're just gonna talk about the Jews, right? Let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I'm gonna bring my guy over here, man. I'm gonna bring my guy over here, right? Gonna bring my guy over here, man. We're gonna let my guy do the talking right here on this little bit, on this little portion right here. Okay.
But at the beginning of the video wasn't enough. I want to make sure and reiterate this, that I'm not a racist person, nor am I a person that hates certain individuals. I love all of humanity. I want to see all of humanity making the new kingdom. But nevertheless, there is true Hebrews. There is a true people of the Most High that is scattered throughout the nations of the earth this day. It is not whom that many people believe they are, such as the so-called Jews in the nation state of Israel that we so see before us right now. I would interject that the true biblical Hebrews are the so-called African American people that are scattered abroad throughout the world.
Now y'all hear what this man just said. He's not the only one that's saying this, man. He's not the only one that's putting this out there, man. God is touching them in their heart as well, because they understand that the Most High God is going to deal with people who have perpetuated the lie. You understand? And I promise you, I say this with love in my heart, man. We got to get it right. And we who call ourselves ministers of God, preachers of God, bishops of God, evangelists of God, pastors of God, we got to be at the forefront. We should be at the forefront. You know what I'm saying? In getting this thing right. And it is very much relevant. You know what I'm saying? Let me say this too. My 7-year-old niece, about probably about 3 weeks ago, she came in my office and she looked up on my wall and she said, Uncle Mio, who is that? She's pointing to a picture of Jesus and people taking him down off of the cross. I've had this picture for probably about, I don't know, probably about 25 years. I done had this picture. I know. I had this picture, man. When I bought my first house back in '99, I bought this picture. So I had this picture about 25 years. Well, everybody on the picture is black. And so she asked me, she said, when I said, she said, who is that? And I said, that's Jesus. She said, well, which one is Jesus? I said, the one in the middle, the one who they helping, everybody's helping him down. And she looked and she said, but Jesus is white. And she said, I saw a picture of Jesus and Jesus is white. I said, well, I said, sweetheart, you too young to understand right now. I said, Jesus is not white. And she said, but I saw a picture of Jesus. See, that's the thing. We all learned the same lie based on what we saw. Okay. And so I said, sweetheart, I'll discuss it with you a little bit later when you get a little bit older. But I said, Jesus is not white. Okay. And she said, okay, Uncle Mio. And we left it at that. But let's listen to my guy right here.
Now, I will show you through a mass amount of evidence that I'll put up on the screen right here, verses below, and you can do your due diligence and research these things out to see if they be so. It is very important that you understand who the true Hebrews are, because that end time prophecy, lots of it, surround these individuals. I am a Gentile. I know exactly who I am, but it seems to be the one group of people in the world that have been, by the rest of the world, tried to be dumbed down to the fact or completely erase their history from history is the African American people, so called, that are scared.
Okay, listen, folks, we got to get it right, man. Now watch this next one though. Watch this next one, man. I'm talking about, man. Watch this next one, right? Watch this next one. Now, this right here, dang, I just messed up my space. That's all right. We'll go back and find it though. But this one right here is
Naeem.
I'm gonna have to go back and find it because I just messed up where we was at.
Perky
That's what we're
24.
But
gonna.
this book right here is the Talmud. The Talmud. If you are involved in any religious circles or you study the word, then you probably heard the term Jewish Talmud. The Jewish Talmud or Talmud. It is the book by like this book is like the most powerful thing within Jewish culture. When I say Jewish culture, I'm speaking about the European Jews as it relates to them. This book, it is where they use this particular book um to go by their like their laws, their culture, and everything to do with them, right? This particular rabbi in this piece that this guy's about to read right here, this rabbi, um, Perky, the Rabbi Eliezer, is a highly respected Jewish rabbi. And this is what he's going to say. This is in the Jewish Talmud. When they um, have their Sabbath worship, their weekly Sabbath worship, this is the book that they read from. Many Jewish people know this information that is about to be shared right here. Many Jewish people. Just to break this down real quick, you got Japhet. Japhet was one son of Moses. You know, Moses had three sons. The Bible records Moses had three sons: Japhet, Shem, and Ham. Japhet, everybody knows and agrees that Japhet was what we call white, of the white race, okay? What we call white, okay? Then everybody knows that Ham was Noah's son, and he was dark, black. He was black. Everybody agree that he's of the black race. Well, here's where the crisscross come in with Shem, the other son. Shem, the Europeans have these European Jewish people. And like I say this with all love in my heart, man. I promise you, man. I don't hate nobody or nothing like that. But we do got to put the truth out there, man. The Jewish people have taken on the identity of Shem when in fact he's not their blood relative. But what this guy's about to reveal right here out of the Jewish Talmud is that Shem is black. That Shem was black. I might have went back about to the right spot, but we're gonna let him read right here.
This is what we're gonna open with,
Right.
and we're gonna read it. We're gonna see the English, but brother Jediah is gonna have to zoom into the screen to read. They highlight the Hebrew parts because remember when this
Information. So I'm going to get this to them. This
Get
is
this
right
here.
here.
yes.
It says about the text. So this is when it was composed. Okay. Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer is one of their most revered rabbis in their Talmudic literature. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to go to, all right, contents, chapter 24. Okay. So chapter 24. So again, remember, Sepharia, Pirkei, the Rabbi Eliezer, chapter
Mm-hmm.
24. We're going to go to chapter 24, and it talks about Nimrod
Mm-hmm.
and the Tower of Babel. Nimrod and the
Yes.
Tower of Babel. We're going to read it in English first, and then I'm going to read it for y'all in Hebrew. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
enlarge it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. brother's
Mm-hmm.
logic, can you start to read, please? Again, the Rabbi Eliezer, Pirkei, Rabbi Eliezer, paragraph or section 24, Nimrod in the Tower of Babel. Write this down, family. Write it down. Okay, important. All right, go ahead.
Pirkei chapter 24.
Oh, sorry,
Nimrod in the
family.
tower.
What happened? Hold on 1 second. I
Hold
hit
on.
something.
Here it come, y'all. Here it come.
Okay. Okay, Nimrod in the Tower of Babel. Oh boy. Sorry, let me get.
Here it come. Here it come.
Okay, Rabbi, section 24. Write it down.
Here
Go
it
ahead.
come.
Nimrod in the Tower of Babel. Noah brought his sons and his grandsons, and he blessed them with their several settlements. And he gave them as an inheritance all the earth. He especially blessed Shem and his
He
sons.
especially blessed Shem. Now, this is about who we are. They want to say anti-Shemitic, right? Read. Go ahead.
He especially blessed Shem and his sons, making them dark but comely. And he
Listen. Now he just read that. This is in the Jewish Talmud. He especially blessed Shem and his sons, making them dark, dark, but calmly. Making them dark, but calmly. Watch this now. Watch this. Now he just described Shem. And for people who don't know, who is Shem? Shem is the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, David, Solomon, on down the line to Jesus, on down the line to you, African Americans, African Caribbeans, African Panamanians, so forth and so on. Let's go.
But he blessed them, not making them, we're going to read it in Hebrew, to be what?
Dark but comely.
Dark but comely.
And he gave them the habitable earth. He blessed Ham and his sons, making them dark like the raven.
Now remember what I said a few minutes ago. Ham, you're not going to find nobody that disputes that Ham was black. And this says, it describes Ham. He blessed Ham and his sons, making them dark like the raven. All it's just doing is distinguishing the level of black, or how black, how dark, between Shem and Ham. Ham is dark black. Shem is black, probably like my complexion, or maybe like my son complexion, who's a little bit lighter than me, or something like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Blacker than Shem, but Shem was black. Ham was darker. Go ahead. Let's look at Japheth.
And he gave them as an inheritance the coast of the sea. He blessed Japhet and his sons, making them entirely white.
Japhet. Now you heard him pronounce it Japhet, because there was no such thing as the letter J. And that's why I say, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, when we talk about the name Jesus, you know, thank God for Jesus. But when we talk about Jesus, the J is a relatively new letter. And so the proper pronunciation would have been a Y sound. Yeah. That's why we say Yahshua, because Jesus is a translation, you know what I'm saying, that came down through the different languages. But he said Yapet, we say Japet, right? He blessed Japet and his sons, making them entirely white. There you go, right? There you go, right there, making them entirely white. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Watch this. Watch who knows about this foolishness and how they done tried to cover stuff up. Now watch this now. Watch this right here. Watch this right here, right? Watch who knows about the foolishness and how they done tried to cover this stuff up, man. Man, watch how they done tried to cover this stuff up, right? Watch this now. Watch who this is now. Watch who this is. Watch this. I'm going to read this for y'all, right? Memorandum. The White House Washington. Memorandum for the President from Henry A. Kissinger. Dated Tuesday, January 28, 1969. Subject: U.S. options in Biafra relief. That word Biafra, all it's really meaning is Africa. Okay? Biafra. And what they are discussing, they plotting on Africa, man. This is a letter that's done came out in the the many notes and all this different stuff, man, from the White House and all these secret letters and stuff like that. They basically plotting against Africa and in particular regions of Nigeria and other areas. But watch what they say right here. There's people in the American government that has known for a long time, that they had enslaved the Israelite people, the real Jews. There's people in this American government that knew who they had enslaved. They knew that they had enslaved God's people, man. Now I'm finna show you something. I'm finna show you how they look, man. You can't hide history, man, because some of it's gonna leak out. So I'm gonna read this right here. Read this in the blue. Read this in the blue right there. Right? The Igbos, I'm gonna read this slow so you can read with me. The Igbos, if y'all watch me, man, I talk about the Igbos. Who was it that traced his lineage back to the Igbo people? What famous, well-known preacher, pastor traced his lineage back to the Igbo people? T.D. Jakes. He went on an interview. I'll put that interview up one day soon. He went on an interview. He ain't gonna preach this from the pulpit. Understand? T.D. Jakes not gonna preach this in the pulpit. I wish he would, but he said this in an interview. He traced his lineage back to the Igbo people. Well, who are the Igbos? The Igbo, the word mean Hebrew. It's literally the same word. It looks different because when it gets crossed in translation, the word is Hebrew, 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 Igbo, Hebrew, Igbo. It's the same word. It means Hebrew. The Igbos are the wandering Jews of West Africa, gifted, aggressive, westernized, at best envied and resented, but mostly despised by the mass of their neighbors in the Federation. The reason why they were despised is because y'all understand that these Hebrews, these Igbos, are people who migrated to that land. You know what I'm saying? So if you go somewhere and you take over people's land, what's going to happen? It's going to cause friction. See, we didn't learn about the Civil War of Nigeria. See, America never taught us about that. Yeah, they had a civil war, and it had a lot to do with all these Hebrews that migrated to the area. And it says they have fought well, by Africa's standards, against heavy odds. Their cynical public relations use of starvation have been brilliant. But the main thing here, it identifies the wandering Jews of West Africa. Now watch this one right here. Watch this now. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Now we pointing to who they are. We pointing to who they are. Watch this one. Watch this one now. Okay? And I'm gonna let this brother just speak. I'm gonna let this guy talk right here, right? This is from a book that was written around 1784. I'm gonna let him talk. Right? And then I'm gonna show you in the book what he's talking about. A treatise on physical geography. This particular book, I think it was published by Northwestern University, right? And we talking about 1850. 1850. Right? So they even knew back then. But watch this. Listen to it. Listen.
51, a treatise on physical geography, comprising hydrology, geognosy, geology, meteorology, botany, zoology, and anthropology. But I'm showing you guys piece by piece. We know that there was a place called Judah on the west coast of Africa. We know that they called it that because one of the tribes were believed to be there. And now we see that they are called Portuguese. The Portuguese.
You heard what he just said. There are maps, there are ancient maps that they try to hide now that proves and shows that there was even a place on the west coast of Africa that was called Judah, because so many Jews had moved to this place. They named the land Judah, where they had migrated to.
These Jews were called black Jews. So now we'll come down to here. We need go no further. This is, hold on, let me give you this right here. Again, a treatise on physical geography, published 1851. See what other information we can find. And Northwestern University. This is where they got the original from. Northwestern University, 1851. So now, when these urban apologists keep telling you that they debunked all this stuff, make them show you the receipts. Make them show you a video or a peer-reviewed paper showing they debunked this document from Northwestern University. So right here, we need go no further than the Jews of southern Spain. Remember, the Jews from Spain went into Portugal, and compare them with those of Holland and northern Germany to perceive a very striking difference. The Spanish Jew.
See, listen, something very important took place around about 1492, 1490. If I remember right, I might got the dates kind of a few years off, but around 1492. See, something else was going on. While they say Christopher Columbus was over here discovering a land that was already here, where people already dwelled and inhabited, there was something else going on over in Portugal and Portugal colonies. Remember that they had colonies, and so sometimes when you see Jews being expelled from Portugal or Portugal colonies, it may not have been the physical Portugal what we see today. It may have also been Portugal colonies where they forced these people out, and it's describing who they were. They black Jews. It's describing the king and queen, Isabel and Ferdinand. They expelled these people. They forced them out of the land.
Is always dark complexion, and his hair is uniformly black, whilst the German Jew is often as fair as any German and has light or red hair with blue eyes. The various shades of color observable among the Negro.
Now, I know y'all can't see his version too good, so I'm about to show it on a bigger on something you can see. I'm about to show it on something you can see. And what it's describing, right? Listen, the Bible says that the Jews hated who? As far as their relatives in the New Testament, who did it say the Jews hated? Who did it say they wouldn't even speak to? The Samaritans, right? Who were the Samaritans? We don't hear a lot about the Samaritans. Do we think they just vanished? Do we think they just got on a spaceship somewhere and rode to Mars? No, they had descendants and stuff too. But who were they? They were mixed blood, mixed race Jews. What happens when a black person have a baby with an Asian person? You see those black features. What happens when a black person have a baby with a Spanish person? You see those black features. What happens when a black person have a baby with a white person? You see the black features, and so on and so on. This is what they're talking about right here. They said, well, these Jews over here, some of them they described as being jet black, dark black, burnt black, and then they say these other Jews over here, they got some other features, but boy, you sure see the black in them, like the Negro. They look like the Negro. You see that black in them, even though they might have mixed and mingled a little bit. You might see some of them a little bit lighter. You might see some of them with some different color eyes or some different color hair. But boy, them some Jews, boy, they got them Negro features. That's what he's saying. So now watch this. Watch this.
Or African race tends to the same conclusion. Along the coast of Guinea, which is low, marshy and hot, we find jet black complexions, and this is the very country from which American Negroes have been derived.
Bingo. Bingo. I'm going to rewind that because I ain't going to let y'all act like y'all didn't hear that. This book was written in when? 1850. I looked it up and say 1850. The brother right here say 1851. So 1850. They knew it back then. Watch this though. I'm gonna rewind this. I'm gonna rewind a little further. Watch this.
Tends to the same conclusion. Along the coast of Guinea, which is low, marshy and hot, we find jet black complexions, and this is the very country from which
American Negroes have been derived.
American Negroes have been derived.
Man, look, man. Watch this. Now I'm about to pull this thing over here, man. And we about to look at this so y'all can see the words for yourself. So y'all don't think I'm trying to trick you. Y'all ain't gonna think I'm trying to trick you, man. And we about to put this thing over here. And we about to let you see it. Okay. I'm about to blow this thing up for you. I'm gonna try to make it bigger. And we're gonna make it bigger. And we're gonna make it bigger. And we're gonna make it bigger. Make it a little bigger. Okay. I'm trying to hope I don't mess it up. Okay. Now let's read in the blue. Let's read in the blue. Thus, the Jews are a people who have ever, according to the prophecy, dwelt alone, without intermixing with the nations to this day. People were not mixing like that. I mean, you don't nothing. Listen, man. Like I said, I'm speaking from all the pure love I have in my heart. I promise. But we got to get it right. Sometimes I hate that God put stuff like this on me, man, because I know this is difficult because most churches are not ready for this. Most preachers ain't gonna talk about it. Most pastors ain't gonna talk about it. But let's go. Thus the Jews are a people who have ever, according to the prophecy, dwelt alone, without intermixing with the nations to this day. Now this separate race all descended from brown ancestors. For Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob must have been as dark as Mar Yohanan, if not darker, even darker. Now, this guy who they said right here, Mar Yohanan, he would look like a dark, like what we would say a dark Middle Eastern today. He would look something like a dark Middle Eastern. So they said he so they said that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob must have been at least this dark. At least, like when you look at a dark Middle Eastern, I ain't talking about one that looks European. He describes them as dark. And they say, if not, even darker. So anyway, exhibit shades of color from the black Jews of Malabar, of whom we have such an interesting account by Dr. Claudius Buchanan, to the rose and the lily complexion of the Jewesses on the banks of the Elbe. We need not we need no go further than the Jews of southern Spain and compare them with those of Holland and northern Germany to perceive a very striking difference. The Spanish Jew is always dark complexioned, and his hair is uniquely formally black, whilst the German Jew is often as fair as any German and has light or red hair with blue eyes. Watch this now. He describing and saying that but this German Jew is lighter. But watch this. He gonna make the distinction and let you know that now these folks still black. It's like when I look at my wife. My wife is black, but she's fair skinned. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, let's keep going. Whilst the German Jew is fair as any German, has light or red hair or blue eyes. The various shades of color observable among the Negro or African race tends to the same conclusion. Along the coast of Guinea, which is low, marshy, and hot, we find jet black complexions, and this is the very country from which American Negroes have been derived. Y'all see that? This is the very country from which American Negroes have been derived. So if these people were Jews and they telling you this way back 150, 60 years ago, they telling you this, that they knew that then, and they telling you that these people were Jews. These people are now in America. Come on, man. Come on, man. It don't take a rocket scientist, right? So now let's look at this other one. Let's look at this other one. Let's look at this other one, man. All right. A new voyage to Italy, right? A new voyage to Italy. A new voyage to Italy, right? Man, look here, man. Look at this. Let me blow this up so y'all can see it, man. A new voyage to Italy. This book was, I got two publishing dates, 1695 and 1714. So I guess it was published first at 1695 and then republished in 1714. And this is called A New Voyage to Italy. And I'm going to read what's in the blue. "'Tis out for a vulgar error that the Jews are all black." What they're saying is that we vary in color. We vary in color. Black people vary in color. So everybody, you know what I'm saying, that's black or consider themselves African American, everybody's not as dark as me, right? And then there's some people who's darker than me, but we all consider ourselves what? Black. So look, so a vulgar error that the Jews are all black. For this is only true of the Portuguese Jews, who marrying always among one another had children like themselves, and consequently the swarthiness of their complexion is entailed upon the whole race. Swarthiness means black, it means dark. That's what that word swarthiness means. The swarthiness of their complexion is entailed upon their whole race, even in the northern regions. But the Jews who were originally of Germany, therefore, for example, I have I have been at Prague, seen at Prague, are not blacker than the rest of their countrymen. Though nobody can doubt that they are of the Jewish nation, are definitely of all authentic tradition, and that is being Jews, right? And that is being Jews. So all this is saying is that we do have color variations, but it's letting you know that these people are what? Jews. And the last slide I just showed you all, it said that these people of this land are the same people who are now calling themselves African Americans, right? So now watch this one right here. Watch this one right here. We almost about finished, y'all, but watch this one right here, right? And I'm gonna let the brother do the talking right here, man. I'm gonna let the brother do the talking. Um, Watch this one right here, right? Watch this one right here. European Journal of Sociology. This was published by Cambridge University. This was published by Cambridge University. I'm not sure of the date it was published, but just listen, man.
Right here, the European Journal of Sociology, coming from Cambridge University, and all what it says, and all the other documents.
From Sao Tome, the Jews immigrated to the coast of Angola between 1484 and 1499. They must have settled in several Portuguese colonies and over the centuries mixed with the indigenous black population. All right, that's why I said it's important to remember what these sources is saying.
Remember, the Portuguese had colonies in Africa. What were we just talking about a few minutes ago? They had colonies in Africa. Remember that. And where did it say that the African American Negroes derived from? Right? One of these same places that they're talking about.
Because this source basically just basically just confirmed the fact that these Jews were settling in these Portuguese colonies along West Africa. All right. But right here it tells us that near the Congo in Gabon in 1776, black Jews called the Vabumbu or even the Mavumbu lived on the coast of Luango by the river named Rio Muni. It would seem that they adopted Christianity at the same time as retaining their Judaism.
Man, listen, man. Listen, man. It's so much information out there now, man, that proves so much stuff. You can't hide history, man. Forever in black households, I can say around mine anyway, and I know others too because just growing up, we hear certain stories, we talk about certain things. Black people have for a long, long time whispered, and they say, well, Jesus was black, Jesus was black, Jesus was black. It's not just Jesus though. It's all of them. You know what I'm saying? It's Abraham, it's Isaac, it's Jacob, it's Noah, it's Moses, it's David, it's Solomon, it's Elijah, it's Paul. You know what I'm saying? And looking at the history of it, right? All of these things, and man, this is just the tip of the iceberg, man. And I'm about to get ready to let y'all go. I'm finna let this Igbo brother share with y'all what he thinks or what he's saying about the Igbo tribe. Remember that word Igbo, what it mean? It mean Hebrew, Hebrew, right? So I'm gonna let him talk for a quick second, man.
Chuku, an Igbo man from west coast of Africa, Nigeria. Um, the Igbos in Nigeria, there are three major ethnic groups: the Igbos, the Yorubas, and the Hausas. As an Igbo man, I'm Igbo man. The Igbos believe that we have similarities in culture, something common with the Hebrew people. During the destruction of Jerusalem, a lot of Hebrew people migrated from there to different places. And so some migrated to West Africa, and one of the notable names that did that was called Gad.
Gad. He said one of the notable names that migrated to his region is Gad. Well, who is Gad? Gad was one of the 12 tribes. Gad was one of the 12 tribes. That wasn't the only tribe that went there, that went to these different parts of Africa. But see, you got to understand something about Africa. I had a couple of different African people that I met when I was incarcerated that shared with me and we talked. And I remember a brother telling me, man, I remember a brother telling me distinctly, my people sold your people into slavery. My people sold your people into slavery. And I knew that, but he began to explain to me how they have so much rich history that is verbal history, because a lot of their history was destroyed in all the times, all the different conquests and all these European countries running in on Africa, taking all their goods, destroying all their records, but they still have their verbal records, and it's passed down to history. So a lot of them know what the deal is. A lot of them know who they are, right? And that's what this guy right here is saying. He's saying, I know who I am. He's saying, I'm a descendant of Gad.
GAD. So they went from West Africa to the river Niger, making their way to a place called Nri, 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 and Ibuku. So the descendants of Gad are the Nri. And from there, you have people that dominated the eastern coast of Nigeria. So we have a lot of things in common with the Hebrew people. For instance, the marriage rights, the circumcision, the naming of people. So this is something that we have in common.
Man, listen, it's so much stuff, man. And I'm going to go back to my chart, right? I'm gonna go back to my chart because there's so much stuff that the church. Come on, y'all. We got to get better and not to be afraid to teach stuff because I know it's hard. I know it sounds different. I know that people are going to rebut, you know, this this stuff, this information and stuff.
Again,
I know they
the
are.
various shades of color.
I know they're gonna you know, tell you that you're wrong and that you don't know what you're talking about. You know, stuff like that. I know that, man. But nonetheless, we must get it
This
And he
is
gave
their
right.
book, family. Write it down. This
You
is
know what I'm
their
saying?
book. Shem is
We
black,
gotta
Ham is dark black,
get
and
it
Japheth is white.
right. This thing ain't letting me stop. We gotta get it right. We gotta get it right. Um,
And we're back. The team is looking down the barrel of a 4:55 meeting.
They're gassed, Jill.
I
Can they
don't
turn it
know
around and make this meeting an email?
what
It's going to be a
I
tough
am.
shot. But whoa there. They're getting in a
Okay, okay, we gotta get it right though, y'all.
Scattered throughout the nations. Now, please understand that not every single black person.
We gotta get it right, y'all. We gotta get it right, man. Look, so much of this stuff we don't teach. We don't talk about it. But it's important because what do we have going on right now over in the so-called Middle East that is really Africa? We got people over there fighting for land that God hadn't promised them. God hadn't promised them that, man. According to the Bible, according to, do we believe the Bible or not? Do we believe the scriptures or not? Answer that question. We got people fighting for land that God had not promised them. And then when you trace and you track it, all this documented, written history proves who the people of the land are. And there's so many other videos, man. There's some videos now that YouTube have taken down. I can't even find them no more. Somebody done got them videos taken down. It's so much information. We live in the information age. And I'm gonna keep giving y'all some videos like this right here, man. I hope y'all enjoyed this one right here. Hey man, y'all be blessed, man. Rev Mio TV, young people, stay out of trouble, stay out of jail, stay out of prison. Share this video with at least 3 people. And study, man. Study, 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 study. Please study, man. I love everybody. I love my black people. I love white people, Asian people, Chinese. I love everybody, man. God gave me the information. I gotta be obedient. Um, hey, I love y'all, man. Let's get it right and stop saying it don't matter. That's and I know some people that don't mean no harm. Some people say it don't matter what color they were. It does matter because there's an inheritance that's tied to these people. You got a whole other group of people that's receiving inheritance that's supposed to belong to a whole other group of people who've been beat down, enslaved, raped, robbed, and all kind of other stuff. Rev Mio TV, man. Y'all share this video with at least 3 people, man. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button.